Today we would be discussing about the validation. There are few validations which are available in group reporting. One is standardized validation, then there is a reported validation, and third one is consolidated validation.
What is that second one?
Standardized, reported, and consolidated.
Consolidated. Okay.
Yeah.
Standardized. Okay.
Standardized and reported is there in the data monitor, whereas consolidation is there in consolidation monitor. So this all configuration has to be done in Fury, validation part configuration. So we have to configure validation method, and then we have to configure validation rule for all these three validations.
I need this link because I unable to find this link for
Okay,
our
so
system. Is it possible to find the same link for me?
yeah, so go over here in login, right? You will find a SAP Query Launchpad.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
From there you go to the link.
Okay. Yeah.
If you face any issue, then just ping me on WhatsApp, and I can share this server details.
Yesterday I tried to change global parameters. It's not worked out for me. I think better we can revisit that changing global parameters.
Okay. So you go to set global parameter.
Okay.
Okay. Then in that, what you need to do is you need to give your version,
Mm-hmm.
fiscal year, period, then chart of account, and then ledger.
Okay.
You just need to click continue. If any of this is missing, then it won't allow you to change it.
Mm. This is applicable for all users
All
if you
yeah,
change entire
yeah,
system, right?
yeah, entire system.
Okay.
There should not be an issue in changing parameters.
But if some users want for a different chart of account or different thing, then
Then they
how?
can do it. Then they can do it. Select that parameter and the system would work accordingly.
No, no. Parallel configuration parameters, multiple parameter set is not going to work.
It is going to work. It is going to work. Not
But when
everyone.
when I change the global parameters, just now as we discussed, it is applicable for all users, right?
Yeah. So if I'm changing, then in my system it would be that. If you are
Okay.
changing, yeah. If you want to work on different period, then you can change different period in your system. I am working on 19 period. You can be working on 2020 period. It's
Okay.
user
Okay.
friendly. So we have data monitor. So here you can see we have a validation called reported data validation, and we have a standard data validation. So these two validations are there in data monitor, and third one, which is a consolidated data validation, it's there in consolidation monitor. Now, if you want to configure those validations, then you have to first configure validation method, and then you have to configure validation rules.
Where is the third one? Report
Consol-
consolidated where it is?
Consolidation monitor.
Yeah.
That you go to consolidation monitor. Let me just show you how to configure those. So we have to remember three for all these three validation: reported, standardized, and consolidated. Uh, the one thing with for all these three validation, we have to configure first validation method, and then we have to configure validation rule. Okay, and we have defined validation method. So this is the one of the app where we define the method. Then we have defined validation rule. There we configure the rule. Third app. Okay, so SCD1 and SRD1. This is the data validation method, which is already provided by the SAP. We can create our own method as well. Create, and we can just give the method like we can use your SCCD1. Yeah, ZCD1. As of now, we are not assigning the rules. We just creating a group. So whatever we have done, it's there, right? ZCD1. And if you go to the standard one, you can see like there is the validation, which is the node, and we can just create the node whatever is our requirement. Like what is generally done is for P&L there is separate validation, then for balance sheet there is separate validation, and these are all the rules which are assigned. Okay, so you can see these are the rule like assets equals to liability, or if you want to say accounts receivable should be greater than zero or accounts payable should be greater than similarly that. So creating method is very easy. Just will click create and do it. If you want to any assign the validation rule, just go and edit. Let us add a group also. P&L validation. We will also say profit. You can just name it anything based on your requirement. Profit and loss validation. So basically, this group would have all the validation pertaining to profit and loss. Similarly, you can have for balance sheet, you can have for cash flow, you can have multiple groups. So we added separate, and then in this group we can assign the rule which is already there. So click assign rules. So these are some of the standard validation rules which are available starting with S. Like you can say net income balance sheet equals to net income P&L, so this should tally. Then cash balance should be greater than zero, cash should not be negative. So those kind of validation you can have it depending on the project requirement. Basically, your asset value should always be greater than depreciation value. So this is also one kind of
What
validation.
is these rules?
These are the rules which it's like a formula. Like you can say that as your asset side equals to your liability side, or your cash balance is greater than zero. So those kind of validation you can give it. Let me just assign one. Yeah, loans and cash and one. These are all standard which is available. We will go through rules and just we find out. It's an active rule. So you can just assign it to our validation method. So first we have created our method, validation method. Then we created the group, like we can create separate group for profit and loss, separate for balance sheet, and then we can assign rules. So actually this is not a balance sheet one, this is a P&L.
Again,
Like
these are all specific, right?
yeah, user specific.
This 5B0070, this is a rule ID, right?
Yeah, this is a cool idea. Yeah. So let me
So
show you how to
inside the
create
rule,
that.
there is a definition. We can rule differently also.
Yeah. Now our validation method is active. Okay. And this validation method we assign it to the entity or a group. Okay. Let me show you how to create validation rule.
This rule, this method is global or specific set of chart of account and all this based on a parameters, global parameters.
Now you can create as it is. So let me show you the rule. It's not based on the parameters.
No, initially when we starting, right, we set a global parameters, right?
Yeah. So
So this will work under that global parameters, or this can be applicable for any combination global parameters.
any
Okay.
combination. Then we have validation rules. These are all the rules. So you can see one of the active rules. So take for example, trade receiver assets equal to liability. This one. This is a pretty standard one. So in rule you can see like we have given the formula, right? The rule ID we give, then we give the description, like what should be the description, asset equals to liability. Then we are given the tolerance, like it should exactly match to zero. Then we are given the control level, whether it should be an error or it should be a warning. Now this is the rule expression. Under the rule expression, you give your formula. Okay, so the left side becomes your assets. So we just give the name, then you can. This is the name alias assets. Then in that you're given the sum, year to date amount. Okay.
Yeah.
Coming to the financial statement, we have given one series. So anything starting with one is like your asset. Likewise for liability, it would be two, I guess. Yeah. So for liability, any financial statement starting with two, and equity would be three. Okay. So your any account, any FS item starting with one should equals. So there is a equal to amount selected should equals to liability and equity.
So
Okay. So this is
FS
the
item value which is there in a data into -1 plus equity value into -1, right?
yeah, yeah, correct. So
So
set
should be
would
equal to 0.
zero. Yeah.
That is the rule. So
This
if
is a
not 0, then it is a error.
yeah. It's an error.
Okay.
Yeah. So likewise, you can create any rule you want uh, based on this available options. Okay. You can see another one like your land value should be greater than the depreciation. So it's basically so in this case what we have given is this is a rule ID. We can give anything. For our purpose, we will give CB like land building equals to greater than. This is a description. Tolerance is zero. Control is the formula is like basically sum of the account. So this would be an account for land, and this would be for I think amortization. So this would be like here the formula is land and building gross value should be greater than depreciation. So this makes sense because we don't want to depreciate more than the actual value. You purchase an asset for 1 lakh, take for example. and over the period of time you depreciate like 10,000 every year. So you can only depreciate amount up to the original asset value. You cannot depreciate more than that. So this kind of validation makes sense, like wherein we want to check whether depreciation of that particular asset is more than the original value. So this is a land value, then this would be an depreciation value. So this plus this would become this plus this should always be should be greater than zero.